Hello everyone, this is Gracie here. In this video we will be discussing problem number 2.11. Exco Limited has observed overhead by means of a blanket rate based on direct labor hours as from 1st January 2016. It decides to adopt separate rates for the three main activities: storekeeping and material handling, machining and assembly. The estimates of cost and job and absorption rates for selling and distribution overhead remains unchanged. Overhead absorption rates are: prior to 1st January 2016, production overhead is Rs 0.50 per direct labor hour. Selling and distribution overhead is 25% of production cost. From 1st January 2016, production overhead, storekeeping and material handling is 10% of direct material cost. Machining Rs 0.75 per machine hour. Assembly 0.30 per labor hour. Selling and distribution overhead 25% of production cost. They have given direct cost of job number 401 have been: direct material cost 90, direct wages is for machining 200 hours 0.60, assembly 100 hours at Rs 0.40, which is 40. So your direct will always remain same for both your estimated as well as your current cost sheet, what you are budgeted cost sheet, what you are preparing. Your direct expenses will not at all change. So contract price of the job is Rs 5,525 and it requires 180 machine hours to complete. Show the job cost sheet for the job number 401 as A, as it would appear if the job had been completed prior to 1st January 2016, and B, as it would appear if the job were completed in January 2016. So here they have asked us to prepare job cost sheet. If the work is completed before 1st January 2016, what is the status, and if it is completed after January 2016, what is the status. So, and they have given information here prior to 1st January 2016 and from 1st January 2016. Okay, so here their expenses, what they have given is prior to 1st January. Let us prepare the cost sheet. They have given production overhead and they've given the rate, they've given the selling and distribution overhead, and they've given 25% of production cost, and they have stated direct expenses will remain same for both, as it will not change. Direct expenses remains same irrespective of the estimated as well as the budgeted cost sheet. So this is your direct expenses. So let us get into the calculation for your A point. So your A point calculation: job cost sheet for job number 401 finished before 1st January 2016. So your A calculation is if your job is finished before 1st January 2016. So your direct expenses as per question, your direct material is 200 hours. Direct material cost is 90 rupees. So you have considered 90 rupees. Then your direct wages. So machining takes 200 hours. What is the rate? 0.60, which is 200 into 0.60 will give you 120. Then assembly 100 hours at rupees 0.40, which will give you 40. So you have considered that here 120 and 40. So total of your direct will give you your prime cost, which is 250. So after your prime cost, you will find out your factory cost. Factory cost, or it can also be called as your production cost. Production carries on in your factory. It can either be considered called as factory cost or production overhead or factory overhead or works overhead. Your production overhead prior to 1st January 2016 is 0.50 per direct labor hour. So for one labor hour it is Rs 0.50. So how many hours is laborers are working based on the number of hours the machine or the particular job is being carried on. So the job is carried on for 200 hours and 100 hours. So your production overhead or your factory expenses is decided based on the machine and job is being carried out. So if you look into direct wages, there are two working going on, machining as well as assembling. So machining takes 200 and assembling takes 100. So this is your so in each shop or in each sector you will have labors. So your machining shop will have they work 200 hours and assembly shops works for 100 hours. So based on that your factory overhead will also be decided. So it is 0.5 per direct labor hour. So your direct wages, your production overhead is 0.5 per hour. So as it is working for 200 and 100 hours, you will be considering the calculation here. Production overhead 200 plus 100 will give you 300, as the rate is unique, as it is singular irrespective of machining and assembling. You will consider it as 1. So you will add 200 plus 100 will give you 300 hours, as the rate is same at rupees 0.50. 300 into 0.50 you will get 150. So your factory overhead or your production overhead is 150. Prime cost plus factory cost or factory overhead or production overhead 250 plus 150 will give you your production cost. Before considering it as your production cost, you need to check whether you have office expenses. There's no office expenses in the problem. Directly you have selling and distribution. So this is your cost of production or production cost. So your production cost would be 400. So next is your selling and distribution. So here in the selling and distribution, what they have stated is prior to 1st January 2016, 25% of your production cost. How much is your production cost? 400. 25% of 400 will give you 100. So 400 plus your selling and distribution, which is 25% of your production cost, is 100. So the total production cost plus selling and distribution overhead will give you 500. This is your total cost. So related to profit, they have stated in the problem. Contract price of the job is rupees 525. So and it requires 180 machining hours to complete. So what is the contract price they've given here? 525. That means to complete this job, irrespective of prior or after, the price which is decided is 525. If we are completing it before 1st January 2016, so what will be the profit? So your old contract price is 525, where you'll be considering your selling price is 525. You've got your cost, you know the selling price, you can easily find out your profit. 500 you've got as per the calculation, selling price as per the question which is stated as your contract price. So the difference of your total cost and selling price will give you your profit, which is 25 rupees. 525 plus minus 500 will give you 25. As your selling is more than your cost, you will get profit. So your A calculation is over. According to the job which has been completed before prior to 1st January 2000, prior to 1st January 2016, you have got profit. So now we will calculate your B. As it would appear if the job were completed in January 2016. So if the job is completing after January 2016, we will check whether we are getting profit or loss. So the details here given is from 1st January 2016, production overhead, storekeeping and material handling 10% of direct material cost. So they have stated here your production expenses is 10% of your direct material cost. Then your machining assembling is 0.750 per machine hour and 0.30 per labor hour. So we will prepare your after January 2016 cost sheet, that is your B calculation. So this is finished before 1/1/2016. So we will calculate which is finished after 1/1/2016. So this is the job cost sheet after after 2016. So your direct materials will remain same, your direct wages also till your prime cost, it remains same as per your prior 2016 cost sheet. So direct material 90, direct wages based on the number of hours and per hour rate, which is 120 plus 40 will give you your 160, till your prime cost it remains same, which is 250. Now your production overhead, the calculation starts from here. So as per the question, your production overhead, storekeeping and material handling is 10% of direct material cost. So which is 10% of your direct material cost. 10% of your direct material cost. So how much is your storekeeping here? 10% of direct material cost. How much is your direct material cost here? 90,000. So 90,000 into 10% will give you 9 rupees. So next is, as per the question, it states machining 0.75 per machine hour, assembly 0.30 per labor hour. So apart from storekeeping and material handling, which we have considered 10% of direct material, we need to consider the works which is carried out in factory, that is machining and assembling. We need to pay for the work which is done by machining and assembly shop, and they've given the per machine hour and labor hour rate, so we need to calculate it. So here machining 180 hours at rupees 0.75, assembling 100 hours at rupees 0.30 per rate. So here the rate is changed for machining. That is why, because in the previous problem we had the production overhead 200 hours, so we have added up 200 plus 300 and we have calculated the overhead and we have charged the rate as it was a unique rate. But in this problem, in this after 2016 180 and it has become 100, the cost is also varying. Why is it 180? Is in the question it is clearly stated that contract price of the job is 525 and it requires 180 machine hours to complete. So when the job is completing, it takes only 180 machine hours. So from 200 machine hours it is considering only 180. That is why after 2016 the cost sheet which is prepared is the closing cost sheet. So in that, when you're completing the job, it takes only 180 machine hours. So that is why here machining takes only 180 hours, and they have given the rate and the information in the question. Machining takes 0.75 per machine hour. So 180 hours at rupees 0.75, which will give you 135. Then assembly takes 0.30 per labor hour. So your assembly is 100 hours, as there is no change in assembly hours. It is the same. So 100 hours into 0.30, which will give you 30. So 9, which is for storekeeping and handling, which is 10% of your direct materials. Then your machining, where it is changed from 200 to 180. Then your assembly, based on the rates you have calculated, you have got 9, 135 and 30. So when you add the all the three, you will get 174. So now your prime cost plus your factory or production overhead will give you your production cost or works cost. So 250 plus 174, you will be getting 424 is your production cost. So after this, in this question, we don't have any information about administration overhead. This cost will be considered as production cost or for cost of production. So but they have given a selling and distribution overhead. So in the question, your selling and distribution overhead from 1st January 2016, they have stated selling and distribution overhead is 25% of production cost. So how much is your production cost here? The total is 424. So 424 into 25% will give you 106. So your production cost plus selling and distribution, which is 106. The total, when you add it, you will get 530. Your selling price is nothing but your contract price, which is same. Contract price of the job is 525. So now here selling price is 525, your cost which is incurred is 530. So minus here, your cost is more than your selling price. So for what is the cost is more than your selling price, that means you have got loss. So 525 minus 530, you will be getting a loss of rupees 5. So when the job cost sheet which is prepared job cost sheet which is prepared finished before 1st January 2016 will give you your profit, because the machine hours are 200. And when the machine hour has changed slightly, or the job cost sheet which is prepared after 1st January 2016 will give you a slight changes which brings a loss of 5 rupees. Otherwise it gets a profit of 25 rupees. As the batch size increases, cost per component decreases. This is because setting up cost is fixed for all batch sizes. Yes, so as batch sizes increases, cost per component decreases. As the number of batches increase, the component prices keeps on decreasing. So this is the two cost sheet which you have prepared prior to 2016 and finished to 2000 after 2016 January 2016. Prior you're getting a profit of 25 rupees, and after you're getting a loss of 5 rupees.
Therefore, what this problem tries to conclude here is, by preparing the cost sheet which is prior to 1st January 2016 as brought profit, and the cost sheet which is prepared after January 2016 as brought loss. This is because XY Company Limited has observed overhead by means of blanket rate based on direct labor hours. As from 1st January 2016, it decides to adopt separate rates for three main activities: storekeeping, material handling, machining, and assembly. So here there are the other three activities, and the job rate for this is assigned differently. That is what is stated here. As from 1st January 2016, it decides to adopt separate rates for the three main activities. As there are three main activities after 1st January 2016, that is storekeeping, material handling, machining, and assembly. So machining and assembly, so here the job activities are increased. When there is increase in the job activities and separate rates are assigned for it, the cost has been increased. So that is what, in prior to 1st January 2016, there was only production overhead and selling and distribution overhead. When the organization started or decided to add on three main activities and to assign jobs and assign rates for it, the cost has been increased, because the setting up cost for the activities has been increased. So that is why it has brought profit for the first prior. It has brought profit because there is no extra batches here, or there is no extra units which has been set up. So the expenses are being controlled, or in a setup, in the expenses are fixed and it is being followed. Either there is increase in the batch size, even though there is increase in batch size 200 hours, or the number of working hours, the cost is being beneficial, where it has been profit. As prior to after 2016, it has got lost, because the organization has decided to assign storekeeping and handling, machining and assembly to different departments and jobs, and assign cost for each activities. So the cost has been increased. So when there's further expansion of the activities, it has led to loss. So based on this two cost sheet, the entrepreneur or the company can decide which method to adopt, or whether it is necessary to expand, or where can he bear the loss, or is it okay for him to go according to the first cost sheet which is prepared prior to 1st January 2016. Thank you everyone.